Hey, what's going on, folks? So, here we are, one chapter away from My Hero Academia Vigilantes Chapter 100. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means for the series at the end of the video, and you won't want to miss that, I promise. But it's just crazy to think that Vigilantes is hitting its 5th year and the 13th volume. Now, if you caught my stream earlier this week, I said that it's pretty uncommon for a spin-off to last this long, and I really hope Vigilantes doesn't fizzle out after it's done. Though with recent announcements foreshadowing the possibility of something epic, who knows? Anywho, today's video is going to be a breakdown of My Hero Academia Vigilantes Chapter 99, so if you haven't read the most recent chapter, as of this video, it's free to be read on viz.com, so do yourself a favor and cop a subscription and binge this amazing story, because if you're an anime only, you're about to wonder who the hell Shirakumo is. Though with that being said, make sure to subscribe to the channel, that way we can keep the lights on here at the bar, and if you want to be a part of each video's premiere, when you hit the notification bell next to subscribe, wait until the drop-down menu appears and change your preference from personalized to all. That way you can be here for more than just My Hero Academia videos. So without further ado, I think it's time to open up the bar. Welcome to the bar, folks. Glad you're able to join me today. So, Chapter 99. This chapter tones down the chaos from Chapter 97 and 98, and it works as a vehicle to get us to the final battle of Vigilantes. Now, at the end of Chapter 98, the villainous Number 6 has begun executing his plan that includes one major detail. This plan is carefully constructed to avoid the gaze of All Might. But we'll talk about that a little later in the video, because my man Number 6 is totally up in the ante in this chapter, and Chapter 100 is aiming to be one hell of a chapter. So make sure you hang around to the end of the video for more assumptions as to what Chapter 100 means for My Hero Academia Vigilantes. But now it's time to talk Chapter 99. Let's hit up the wall. Alright, so Chapter 99 kicks off with the infamous Naruhata lockdown kicking off. We see that pretty much everybody has lost cell reception, there's rolling blackouts across the city, and on top of this all, we see that the vestige of O'Clock is still advising Number 6. Now, there's plenty of speculation as to what the hell this ghost is. We know that O'Clock is generally a good guy, but it could be that the memories that are retained by the quirk's original user that are carried over with the transfer of the quirk have created a vestige that's been warped by the psychotic mind of Number 6. Also, I said this before, but I'm just gonna say it again. I'm pretty sure that Number 6 is just a straight up clone of All for One, and after he discovers Tenko Shimura, he just tosses Number 6 aside, realizing that his goals wouldn't be met by an Ujiko clone or by himself. He needed to breed an inhuman amount of hatred and cultivate it into Shigaraki. That way, his goals would truly be met. Okay, so the Nightmare Knight in Naruhata kicks off with Number 6's plan that he deems Operation Anonymous. Now, Operation Anonymous works in 3 phases. Phase 1 was to cause all those blackouts around Naruhata. Phase 2 is to block the major roads in and out of Naruhata. This means that the people that can pretty much only get into Naruhata are heroes, meaning that if emergency staff, police, they're not going to be able to get in because they're not going to be able to get their vehicles in. And calling for backup isn't going to happen either, because when those blackouts started rolling across the city, all forms of communication have been severed, which means no backup. Now, as for Phase 3, it's to create as much minor chaos as possible, enough to cause a stir, and I love the analogy that's given by the O'Clock vestige. They want to cause enough chaos that people just get the vibe of a horror film. Number 6 and the evil O'Clock want people to feel so helpless and paranoid of one another, so additionally, this amount of chaos is meant to make people so scared and paranoid of one another, the heroes are forced to take time to calm down the civilians instead of paying attention to their true goal. And speaking of heroes being derailed from their true goal, we pick up right after the Nightmare Knight kicks off with Koichi still being chased down by Eraserhead. Except this time, Eraserhead tells him to slow down because we know that Eraserhead ain't stupid. He knows that there's some fuckery about. The thing is, at this point, nothing is going to stop Koichi from escaping unless someone is in trouble. And we've seen that Koichi and Eraserhead, when they team up, they get shit done. So this chapter was a welcome surprise to see them save the girl that they kinda distracted in the first place. Though when Eraserhead starts helping out Koichi, it kinda bends number 6 the wrong way, because the whole part of this plan was to keep Koichi occupied, not end up teaming up with him. And even though he's kinda pissed, the evil O'Clock reassures number 6 and lets him know that this was just a minor setback. Now that the phases have all been enacted, there's really nothing that the heroes can do going forward to stop it. And the next part of the chapter is actually something that made me belly laugh pretty hard. The citizens of Naruhata are beginning to panic, so when everyone wants questions answered, who do they turn to? Koichi, because he's the hero of Naruhata. And if you weren't on the fence before, it's extremely solidified that Naruhata is extremely abandoned by heroes. Like, for the longest time, people of Naruhata have not seen legitimate heroes to the point where they thought that Koichi was an actual hero. So when Eraserhead blows up Koichi's spot and tells everybody that he ain't a hero, firstly, everybody goes, wait, what, seriously? He's not a hero? And secondly, they just turn to Eraserhead and start asking him the questions instead. And in typical Eraserhead fashion, he doesn't like dealing with the public. And before he can be cornered by any more civilians, luckily a weird Spider-Man web appears because the manga's in black and white, but it turns out it's Best Jeanist and Edshot. And what Jeanist is using is that old cup and a piece of string method everyone did as kids except on a massive scale, and he's using it to communicate below while standing atop a building for the high ground like he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Though that's when the hero team that I didn't know I needed slowly formed in front of my eyes. Edshot, Best Jeanist, Ingenium, Eraserhead, and the Crawler, that is a team up that I needed, and I'm totally accepting ideas for the name of this team up because holy shit, man. And shout out to Koichi though, who despite all of this is still shitting his pants because now all 4 heroes that were hunting him down are slowly moving to possibly assist him, because when everybody calms down and consolidation of information starts happening, they're gonna want to listen to Koichi. He's the only person who can brief the heroes on who this bad guy is. And the one piece of irony that I absolutely love is how the faith in heroes amongst the community is so inherent. It's a total flip side as to what's going on in My Hero Academia. Seeing Jeanist tell them that their heroes are here and have that invoke a huge rally cry, holy crap, man. Though while looking at this panel, I could totally see it happening in anime form. This shot would have more depth to it though, because if you look closely, besides the fact that Koichi has been perpetually shitting himself for a full page and a half, they aren't looking at the civilians cheering, they're looking at each other, almost in a way like, we shouldn't be inspiring these people right now, we should be finding a way to get them safe and deal with the villains responsible for the Nightmare Night. I mean, that was initially Eraserhead's plan, hunkering down somewhere, consolidating information, and keeping everyone's heads on straight so the panic just doesn't become widespread. So like I said when this was kicking off, it looks like the Hata Bros Cafe is gonna have some unexpected customers that probably aren't looking to spend any money. I mean, Eraserhead did say that he would come by and say hi later, right? Didn't really mention the terms of how he would say hi, but at least he never forgot about the bros since then. Though then we move to the final scenes of the chapter, with number 6 pointing out the major part of this Operation Anonymous was no All Might. And I love when they spin his catchphrase of I am here into I am not here. It reminds me of this scene in My Hero Academia. And the last part of this chapter revolves around one crucial fact. Operation Anonymous is named as such because if the threat is anonymous, All Might ain't gonna move on it. I'll explain why in a second, but the chapter ends with what looks like a squad of villains stationed right outside the hospital. Meaning, Koichi is nowhere near the hospital, neither is Soga, and right now the last line of defense is Tsukauchi, Moyu, Rapt, and the remaining police force that wasn't sent after Soga and Koichi. Now this leads me to believe that it is certainly possible that Knuckle Duster shows up to assist Koichi and help give him the time that he needs to get back to the hospital. Additionally, we saw Soga this chapter, but we don't really know where he is, so for all we know, he went back to Koichi's penthouse to pick up the cat bus so he can ferry the civilians, and hopefully minimize civilian casualties and collateral damage. But now it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Why isn't All Might showing up? Now I need you to recall the earliest Ides of My Hero Academia. Think way back when the sludge villain got away after Deku latched onto All Might. What happened next? Bakugo gets strung up by the sludge villain, and Deku runs out to save Bakugo and almost successfully does so using a damn backpack. But try to recall, who's standing in the crowd the entire time watching it all go down? All Might. All Might was very much content on watching Bakugo possibly die or holding out until a hero gets there until the actions of Deku. Why was that? Because of the time limit. At that point in time in the story, there was not a successor to One for All at the time, and All Might could barely operate for 3 hours. So after saving Bakugo and Deku, that time limit plummeted even further than 3 hours. And luckily though, in that moment, All Might found his successor because seeing Deku pushed him beyond his limits. But, and I mean the biggest of fucking buts, is this ain't My Hero Academia. This is Vigilantes. There ain't no Deku, there ain't no sludge villain, there's darkness and no visible threat like the entire Tokyo Sky Egg falling over. So that means one thing, All Might ain't coming. This is Koichi's show, and if he isn't the one to take down number 6, I'll be pretty pissed. But that's the chapter, and now let's talk about the Japanese cover opposed to the English Viz variant. Once again, the Viz variant really doesn't provide us with any future understanding as to what Chapter 100 will entail. The Japanese variant, on the other hand, thanks to some image generation translation from my thumbnail artist, Glowing Donut on Blender, we have 2 things that are on the way. One thing is that a double-page color spread is coming for Vigilantes Chapter 100. That has me fucking stoked, and additionally, a big announcement is on the way as well. So this could mean one of 2 things. 1, they're announcing the end of Vigilantes is nigh, or 2, the announcement of the Vigilantes anime is coming. Yeah, that's right. Vigilantes the goddamn anime might be announced in 2 weeks, and I don't want to get myself a little too hyped up here, and I might need to pour myself a drink for this one. But man, if this happens, I'm expecting every single one of you to fire the confetti gun. I'm talking losing their shit. Because most of you on this channel have been standing Vigilantes as long as I have, and this is a momentous occasion for all of us fans, if it pans out to be true. And I'm saying this now, alright? I know a lot of people on the channel know that my dream is to become a voice actor, so you guys might try a hashtag #DanForKoichi on Twitter. But let's just let this play out a little bit more before we get ahead of ourselves. There's plenty of voice actors out there that need to eat, and while I'm working on climbing that mountain, all of us here in the bar are still Team Karasuno staring at that mountain. We'll get there eventually, folks, I promise, and when we get the chance to climb, I will do everything in my power to make sure I give it my all and make every single one of you proud. So with that being said, enough of this happy shit. Thank you all for coming through for today's premiere, and if you're watching this after the fact because you're overseas, thanks for watching in general. Now we're less than 300 subscribers away from 20,000. If you told me that this would be a milestone that I hit after the several copyright takedowns, man, it would look pretty bleak a couple of months ago. But we're gonna push even further beyond. So until next time, folks, be good, wash your hands, get vaccinated, and don't do any hood rat shit that Dan wouldn't approve of. Cheers!